This is Lois from Drones, and I'm hanging out with Rob from Front Row Live.
First of all, congratulations, brand new signing with a new label. I noticed on your Twitter account that this was fairly recent, maybe like October that the signing was first announced. Can you talk to me a little bit about Thousand Island Records and what was it about them that made you guys want to, be part of this partnership? And then, how did they kind of discover drones?
Yeah, absolutely. So basically we have already been with Lockjaw, which is our UK record label. And so we've been with them for a few years. And with this record, we just wanted to expand out a bit further. And obviously US and Canada is something that we wanted to explore for a while. We were put in touch with Thousand Island, and Bruno at Thousand is already proving to be a total asset. Like, we're really happy with everything that he's been doing so far. And just basically for us, it's just important to be on like a proper punk record label, because then it kind of speaks to the right audience, which is important for us. So the combo together, like Lockjaw and Thousand Island, is already working really well. So we're really happy with that.
That's cool. Now, I have to admit to you, I am a relatively new fan. Josephine introduced me to the band, and Josephine also made me fall in love with the band. So, so how as an artist, how does it feel, especially when you've already had a record out and other music out, and then you release a new single, and then you see that a new fan base kind of comes in and pays attention to the band. How does that feel for you guys whenever you guys are creating and releasing and still seeing new fans coming within every release?
Yeah. Well, obviously positive. It's really exciting to be able to finally release new stuff. Josephine's been in the bag for, it was written like a year ago. So when you're sitting on music like that, it's really difficult to not get too excited too soon. So being able to release that and seeing people's engagement with it is really exciting. I'm glad that you like
it. and the fact that, like you mentioned, you've been sitting on this song for some time now. So I feel like that's, as far as it is exciting and nerve-wracking, I feel like it's also dangerous, because I feel like it leaves so much space for you to either rewrite it or scratch it, or not have that same kind of emotion as you did before. Why do you feel, aside from the fact that this is a personal track for you, like, why do you feel that this song is able to kind of live the test of time, and you've kind of tested it right now with being able to sit on it before the release?
I guess for me, this track is going to be, well, especially like the personal content within it, it's going to be long-standing in terms of one of my favorites for sure. I think the personal connection that I have with it is quite obvious. That seems to have portrayed over into what other people think of it. So I'm really happy with it.
As far as the single goes, this is a personal song. This is you getting more vulnerable than ever. What was that like for you when you were writing the track, and how different was it when you were in the studio recording the track?
So I guess this song and the songs that we're going to release next as well, this album is much more personal than our previous one. So Exiled was like a concept album, and none of it, lyrically anyway, we're talking very lyrically here, but none of it was really about me specifically. It was about my views on things, but all of the songs within this record are very personal.
But how were you able to be comfortable opening up about your personal struggles that you were going through?
How am I able to?
Yeah, I feel like some artists, like, it's easy to kind of release that aspect of their lives into music, and I feel like others kind of struggle to be that open to their audience.
I think for me, I just didn't really have a choice. Like, I just had to. But there's songs on this record that, like, it's so cliche, but like I had to write them for therapy almost. Like, there's some quite raw emotional songs on this record, and I really felt like I had to write them. I went through quite a lot in like the last couple of years personally, and yeah, it just kind of all came out like word vomit. So so there wasn't really any holding back in that sense.
Now,
yeah,
for
hear the rest of the album.
For Josephine, you worked with Tim Kramer as like producer for that track. Is he also part of this entire record, or do you have different producers coming in?
Yeah, no. So Tim is actually our guitarist. So Tim is our full-time guitarist, and he's written like a lot of this album as well. So yeah, the record is all very much kind of in-house. Like me, Tim, Tom, Mitchell, Kyle, we all write the songs together. And then, yeah, so Tim's got a studio in St Albans in Hertfordshire, which is just like a bit north of London. So we've all recorded the album there. But this time around, it's been a bit different because we basically haven't all been in the same room like once during this whole album creation process. So it's been a bit disjointed, but it doesn't feel that way at all. Like listening back to the album, actually, it's really nice to hear it all come together, and you don't really notice. But yeah, so Tim's like an integral part of the writing and recording for us, and it's nice to have like all of us be able to have a specific kind of input even in the mixes and stuff like that. So I think it's quite rare that like the artist gets to have that much say in the mixing kind of part of the recording process, which can be a positive and a negative, I guess, because you can get a bit too bogged down in like the little bits, and then you're like just listening and then being like, I hate the song because I've heard it so many times. Which I think Tim is at that point. And he'll love it again. It's fine.
I feel like that's a big challenge for him to be like a member of the band and also be the producer. I feel like having those two different hats can become kind of challenging just because you know, it's too much going on at once. Like, how do you feel like he's able to kind of keep it calm and collected and be a producer and at the same time be a guitarist without kind of stressing about it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think for him being able to come to us and to external people and show them the track, like he knows that he has to have a point where he just says that's it, and like, and I think it's the same kind of mindset that I get when I'm writing as well, is that I'll write something and then be like, oh, I'm not sure about this, not sure about that, and then I'll just rewrite the same part over and over, and then it just gets like, it becomes negative rather than a positive experience. And I think he does the same thing where he gets too bogged down in like a little mix of something and he just can't get the right mix that he wants. But if you just send that idea to someone and they have with like fresh ears or eyes or whatever, they listen to it and then they can let you know, hey, this is good, what are you doing? You're freaking out about nothing, and then you can move on. So I think that's for him, that's the best practice for him anyway.
Now, do you think it was important because of the topics that you'll be talking about on this record? Do you think it was important for having someone like Tim that's in your band be the producer instead of kind of having an outside producer come in and trying to explain the situation in every single song to that producer?
Yeah, especially with like acoustic stuff, which is very raw and personal. So yeah, moments like that, it's really nice to just have me and Tim, who is obviously a great friend of mine, and just have the two of us there. Yeah, I think it definitely gets the more emotive takes out of me.
So you did mention that you guys have been recording this separately. You guys haven't been in the studio together. How do you feel about that, like that new experience of the studio instead of having the whole band as a whole there, you know, as you guys are tracking and recording these songs?
Yeah. There's a lot less sitting around. I'm just there for my parts now. Like, bye. No, it's good. It's good in ways, but yeah, I do just miss everyone. Obviously, you know, it's for us. It's always been like this with the last record as well, because obviously we're doing it ourselves. Like I said, it's kind of because we have all of the time to do as much as we want with the record, and we can kind of work on it when we want to. We kind of did the same thing with the last record, to be honest with you. Like we kind of all went down individually and recorded those parts like separately, but with the writing that's definitely been a bit different because it's just weird not being in a room with anyone. Then the first time you kind of hear the songs is them recorded. So yeah, it's been a bit weird.
How do you feel you've kind of challenged yourself on this record as like both vocally and then as well as like your writing process?
Yeah, I mean, we've taken a bit of a turn lyrically from away from the, not away, like we're still discussing, you know, social issues and things like that, but obviously the album content is much more personal, so there's that side of it, and I don't ever want to abandon that side of Drones. Like obviously that this is what I was trying to explain the other day to someone, is that like I felt like I couldn't write about my own personal experiences because they're not really, I felt like they weren't as important as what is going on at the world, like in the world at the moment. And it just all felt a bit like whatever, like this isn't important. But then I've kind of realized that like obviously like to look after yourself is really important, and if you're not okay in yourself, then you can't fix anything else outside of it. So that's important to address. In terms of musically, it's very much still Drones, which we're proud of. You know, I feel like we have our sound and we're really happy with it. But there are elements that we kind of brought in. Like we've got a guest vocal on the record. I'm not gonna tell you who.
But this is a first time though.
Yeah, first time for a guest vocal, yeah. Which I'm really excited about. Yay. So yeah, we had live instruments in there as well, which you will hear. Like, what can I say? Yeah, which you will hear when it comes out.
How, so as far as like, I don't want any names, but as far as like the guest vocals go, how was that experience for you guys, kind of teaming up with someone else for your own material?
I knew when I wrote the track that I wanted a guest vocal, and I knew the kind of like sound that I wanted it to be, and I knew that I can achieve that myself. So I was just like, who can we get? And then this person was, to be honest, a very obvious fit. I'm very happy that they could do it, but in terms of the recording process, never set foot in Tim's studio. They actually recorded their part. They're in Germany, and they recorded their part in Germany, I think, or in Germany when they recorded it, and sent it over. So yeah, I just went from like, so I wrote the part and then sent it over, and then they recorded it, and then it was just in the song, and that was that. Didn't even see him.
So there was no like rewrites or anything. It was just literally what you wrote.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, it sounds great. I'm really happy with it. So
that's awesome. As far as the writing process goes, like how different was it, or do you feel it was harder to write that social album that you did with Exiled, or do you feel like it was harder to write the more personal album as you're doing right now with the Sophomore record?
A bit of both, really. In terms of songwriting, for me, it kind of like I prefer the ones that just kind of come out, and that it is very much like some do just write themselves, and then others are a bit more of a slog in terms of like reworking things and changing words or lines to make them better. And all of my favorite songs from that record and this record have been ones that just kind of happen naturally, and it's not a case of the personal stuff is easier for me to write or the other stuff is, but yeah, it just depends on the situation, I suppose.
Now back to Josephine, like when you were writing this track, what kind of kickstarted the writing process of the song? Was it a specific like lyric or melody that you kind of thought of, or were you just really like feeling something at the time and just, you know, put it straight to paper?
Yeah. So the music definitely came first, and that happens a lot with Drones actually. So I prefer to write lyrics and melody over like a canvas, so to have something already and then to like kind of top line in a way, I guess, to something that I've already got, because it kind of sets like the mood, and then I can kind of weave it in around that, and I like doing that. I mean, that's what happened with Josephine. Like kind of Tim had the guitar parts and then sent me like a rough demo, basically sent me that. And then yeah, Josephine, I didn't know, I can't remember if I knew I was gonna call it Josephine, but I knew very quickly that it was called Josephine, because when I knew what the song was going to be about, it just made so much sense for it to be called Josephine. So if you don't know, Josephine is like a former version of myself. So when I used to drink a lot, basically I'd get to like a certain level of drunk, and then Josephine would be a character that my friends started calling me when I got too pissed, basically. And that was fun for a while and at the time, but then it got to a point where it just, you know, it became kind of damaging, and that is the kind of undertone of the song. But yeah, it just made sense to call the song Josephine for it to have like a personality, I guess.
When you found out that you were writing Josephine, was it quick and easy to know that that's what you were writing about, or did it take a few rewrites before you kind of realized the story or the issue that you were kind of talking about?
No, Josephine came out like word vomit. That was a quick one. Done. That's probably why I love it so much, because I don't have any of that like associated, oh, this is really annoying, trying to fix this bit. Yeah. Nah, she was quick. It's like I gave birth to her. It was a great birth.
So the fact that it was held for quite some time before you actually released it, were there any restructures for this song, or was when you first finalized it, that was it, that's what we hear today?
Was there? I don't think so. It was very solid from the get-go, that one. I can safely say there are other songs that were not, but yeah, Josephine was pretty much always that solid from the beginning. I don't think there was any reworks on it now.
So now as we move forward to the sophomore album, what has been the biggest challenge that you guys have felt you faced in creating this record?
Yeah. Yeah, because we like everything was written and we started recording drums drums was started in March, I think, or maybe even February. And everything instrumentally was done by the end of March, maybe April. And then I didn't even get to finish my vocals until like a few months ago, because we just couldn't get in, like I just couldn't get to Tim's and we couldn't be in the same room. And there was little bits of like some of the songs still weren't finished, vocally anyway, like once the instrumental parts had already been recorded, and there was still like elements of some of the songs that weren't totally finished, lyric and melody wise, which was a bit stressful for me, knowing that I had to like fill those gaps. Yeah, so I guess just that was a bit of a stress. But yeah, really happy with how it's turned out.
Do you feel that, since this is a more personal topic, do you feel that you had to learn different ways to sing or relearn how to sing just so you can get that emotion kind of across to your audience?
Relearn how to sing. I'm definitely gonna have to relearn how to sing now. It's been like a year since we've sung live. I don't think, no, because I feel like although the previous album wasn't as personal, it was still very passionate, and like it was still there was still that kind of like raw emotion with like the more screamy element to it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, no, I think it's the same really. In terms of energy, it's definitely excelled the previous album, but it's still that raw punk like sound. So yeah, I don't think I've really changed my vocal style or anything.
Yeah. So how soon, I guess this is the big question, how soon can fans expect the sophomore record?
Soon.
Drum roll.
I don't know if I can say. Sure. February 2020. 2021. What are we now? 2020. 2021. Yes, February 2021.
And where are you guys at as far as the record goes? Is it completely done, or is there still some recording going on?
It's completely done. Yeah, it's all completely done. Even like, because like for the last record, we had a little rap party and we can't even do that. And then we were like, oh, and then so in London, they're like, you can have 6 people together. And we were like, oh, there's 5 of us. This is fine. And then we're like, so now we can't even celebrate the record. So we'll just have to have a little Zoom party.
Yeah. Well, hopefully by the time it's out, then, you know, everything's kind of changed.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we'll be playing shows by then.
Yeah.
Crossed.
That would be great. That would be great. Well, thank you for taking the time to talk to me. I'm excited about this upcoming album. I'm happy that, you know, this is new music that I'm enjoying. And thank you for making me a fan.
Thank you so much. Nice to talk to you.